Kia ora te koutou, Markie here. Poorly lit, ambiently lit. I'm dazzled and I look like a beetroot, but there we go. So another rant along the lines of convention. Now, often convention is very much to do with food. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I was talking to somebody that once was talking about kind of weddings and things like that, and they were saying, oh, there's no need for a ceremony. I don't get why, people have all this ceremony. And then, I said to them, oh, what do you do for Christmas? And they said, oh, well, we all wake up early and we have presents at the end of our beds, and then we get up and, have a coffee with a whiskey in and listen to the Queen's speech, blah, blah, blah. People have loads of ceremony around food, and I suppose convention in a way is similar to ceremony, isn't it? And tradition, convention, ceremony, things that are repeated, maybe give us a sense of security and familiarity. So I want to talk about salt. Okay, so let's go back to early times. I'm talking kind of medieval, where you may have heard the expression "below the salt" or "above the salt." So salt used to come in a great big block, and it cost a fortune. So when it was on the table, and what you do is you kind of going to scrape a bit off this big block of salt. And some people were above, positioned in their seating was positioned sort of away from the salt, and some near the salt. So, and that was a sign of social status, because the higher the status you were, you had the access to salt. And if you were low status, you didn't have access to salt. And the reason it was in a big block and you had to scrape a bit off was because that's how salt kind of comes. Okay, so. And that's what people did for, and it's a big problem, it's a nuisance, kind of scraping off this salt from this big block. And eventually somebody hit upon the idea of mixing it with iodine. Some people say iodine, I say iodine. And you say tomato, I say tomato, other way around. And then, you had what was called table salt, which was, much smaller crystals of salt. So you could sprinkle them easily on your food or into your cooking without having to mess around with this big block. So what do people do today as a trendy thing? They have one of those salt grinders, which dumps dirty, great big kind of boulders of salt on your food, so that when you're eating your chips, you get a big hit of, massive crystal of salt, the big hit of salt, and then the rest of the chip is saltless. So this problem that, mankind and society has grappled with is how to easily make salt, spreadable and evenly distributable among your food. Now, as kind of trendy people, we're going for kind of big crystals of salt, and then we go for the kind of Himalayan salt and all these different kinds of salt. To me, salt is salt. But, brilliant idea. Iodized table salt, what could be better than that? So why go back to kind of clunky, crude salt grinder that scatters massive kind of blocks of salt on your food? Really, that's it. Just kind of hipster, trendy bollocks, really. It's just like putting the serviette underneath the cake. And if you haven't seen that video, have a watch of it, because it's very much on the same line as this one. So, having ranted, I will say farewell. Rangimarie.